Hey everyone, it's Susan here. Thank you for joining me today. And how wonderful when I open up the chat and I see B here, Gwyneth, who is here in spite of having COVID, and Ellie from Munich, and Nicoletta and Escamet, and everybody who's here already, Stacy Brown. Welcome all today. I am talking about the intersection of love and money. Sometimes we talk about spiritual aspects of romance. Other times we're talking about the day-to-day stuff that it gets tricky. And this isn't just a conversation on who pays. I'm not going to impose any lifestyle or value choices on any of you. I realize that how you choose to live your life, whether you are a traditionalist or you're extremely modern, everything's 50-50, that's up to you. My job is to present the what ifs and how to balance the choices that you make, understanding the effect that it has upon human nature. Human nature is very interesting. And the conversation of money and dating, for the purposes of this show, it is about the initial first time, like just newly seeing somebody you really like them, and maybe the segment that goes into exclusivity. This is not a discussion on how couples handle money, but it is a discussion on your dominant personality type, whether you are a giver or a taker. And I have been working with a lot of givers who are over giving in the beginning of a relationship where they are not marking the pace of the relationship. So it can actually lead to you being devalued by your partner. It can set up ongoing expectations that that's your role. They don't do anything, they just receive. It decentivizes them to be a giving partner, and you will feel less and less appreciated the more you give. This is for my givers, okay? So let me talk about the beginning of this. Now, there are a couple of different discussions. Let's talk about pace of financial involvement and the generosity. Oftentimes, in the new arc of the honeymoon phase, this is where you're going to be the most generous ever. No, not after 10 years of living with somebody. In the very beginning, because it's human nature to want to show off whatever factors we think will make ourselves look better. In traditional terms, in the heterosexual world, men used their resources to induce a woman's interest, as in, this is what I have to offer you. Aren't I a good catch? Now I realize we have an expanded audience here, so I'm not leaving anybody out. Wealthy, successful women nowadays may do this to their new honey. He doesn't have the kind of money they do, and they want to take him on trips, and they want to buy him clothes. And then you wonder what happens to the relationship. Again, this depends on pace and the involvement. I have a client who is extremely generous. He works very, very hard for his money. And I nearly fell over when he told me the quality of jewelry he was buying his new partner by month 2. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. This is a 1-year marker, maybe at Valentine's Day. But when you start at the top, where do you go from there? So part of our being generous with our money is that we want to make sure that the person wants us for ourselves. If you have success and you feel like treating your new fling, your new interest, love interest, to something wonderful, I would ask you to always have it be in proportion to where the relationship is. Far too often, the concept of money and resources are being thrown at the person as inducement. You don't want them to want you for the wrong reasons. Trust me on this. And then the second conversation is about values and the role that you intend to play. If you start, guys, by paying all the time in the very beginning, and I'm not, this is just saying to you that if you set an expectation, oh, no, you don't pay, I will. Whether you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter what. No, I'll take care of it. Maybe you feel obligated because you're the one with the most resources. What you're doing is setting up that person you're actually disempowering them, and you're not allowing yourself to receive. You're not allowing them to give you. Maybe the person that you're seeing doesn't have anywhere near the financial resources that you do. That may be the case, but don't overwhelm them with what you have to offer. It, if anything, could push them away. Oftentimes, when people don't feel that they can play on the same level, they will run away. I have a woodpecker. Can you imagine? This is not like 6 in the morning. I have a woodpecker. Thank you for joining the show. So if you hear something, no, it's not Ninth Avenue drilling. I just want you all to understand that the bait that you put out in the beginning of the relationship pretty much sets the course of the expectations. So I'm going to talk about human nature, all right? Let's talk about the best choice for you. Money. Guys, if you're dating and courting, take a lady out, that's fine. But too much, over the top, too soon, you're going to drain your wallet, and you may get her so accustomed to that she no longer appreciates it. Let her some nice things for you. You want to be measuring in the beginning whatever I'm giving, whatever my resource is. I'm talking about money today, but even if you don't have money and you have time and you can do something nice for your partner, you know, not everything has to be financial. And some of the best first dates are really low bar financially. And feminine energy women that are very much opposed to this concept, the high value women, please just, because there is logic behind it. I'm not telling you you have to subscribe to this kind of thinking. But if we start by giving too much too soon, we really do decentivize the other person. So experiential gifts are great. Experiential things that are not money related are great to pepper in or make the dominant basis of your initial courting phase. And again, if any of you have questions, please put it in super chat. I'd love to talk specifically about the money and dating. I do know that there are a lot of men that I talk to who are like, Susan, it is so expensive to date. I mean, I don't want to be cheap, but my God, just getting through the initial few weeks or months, and then it doesn't work out, and then I'm out all that money. And so you have to proceed within the realm of what is comfortable for you. Do please remember, both men and women, if you shower someone new with gifts, you will very quickly learn who they are. If they take and say less and less, expect more and more, have you spoiled them? Yeah, but they're not coming back from that. They've just revealed their hand. I don't suggest that you do this, but you will find out. I really do appreciate it when I have my male clients who are trying to pull themselves back. They're just used to being so generous. And I know lots of times you want to do this stuff for yourself. I've had clients that say, you know, heck, I wanted to go on the vacation. I wanted to spend time with him. I had the money, so I thought, hell, I'm just going to pay for both of us. He can't afford it. That's for my pleasure. Okay, but use common sense. We don't want to overwhelm a person. We don't want to make them feel guilty for receiving. If there is not enough emotional content to balance the money being spent in the initial part of the relationship, your person will bail. They will pull away. And I'm sure many of you have had this experience. So we do have to pace ourselves for everybody's well-being. All right, so let us talk about casual dating versus exclusive dating. In casual dating, again, I would defer initially to more experiential things. You don't have to be cheap. If you want to have a nice dinner and you like this person, do so. But then alternate it the next time with you all buy groceries and make something together. Because it's in the experiential times that we really see who our partner is and we get to build the bond. Now, let me just look and see if you have any questions, because I really do want to become a journalist. What a cute title. Nowadays, if a man has not money, how is other planning for a date? I like experiential dates. Take a walk. Well, don't come empty-handed. Ask your partner, would they like some coffee or tea or a biscuit or whatever? Take a little walk, then sit by a cafe, because that's a low bar meet and greet. Now, some people may not like that. They may judge you in the very beginning because you didn't take them to a 4 or 5-star restaurant. And if you don't have money, well, you can't date those people. And it doesn't even mean that it would be a match for you. So that is my answer to that. Okay? Let me see what else. I know, now, oftentimes this is also generational. My Gen Zs tend to split everything. That's just the way they roll. And my couples that are in their 40s and over, well, maybe 50s and over, tend to have a much more traditional view of things. Things change completely when you're in partnership. When you're in a relationship, we begin to each come to the forefront with the money situation. And we each decide who does what, who pays for what, how much each person contributes. There's a lot of economic disparity between couples that can occur. So how do you have the kinds of dates that you want if you're the one with the money, and merge that with the lack of resources that your partner has without making them feel uncomfortable? Yeah, so you do it sparingly and you ride upon the experiential. Does anybody have any questions on this? You're all good? We can go home? It's done? Let's see, you're all talking to each other. Go for a drink or coffee first. Have a few other places close by if it's going well. Daniel, I like that. But this is my choice because of time, and I don't know how much I want to know that person. There's nothing worse than being stuck on a dinner date and they will not accept no for an answer. I did that when I was doing duty dating years ago, and I'd be putting on the same outfit like 3 nights a week and just going, and it was terrible. I knew from the first 5 or 10 minutes I wasn't attracted, and I think they enjoyed the conversation, but I didn't feel good being on the other end. I didn't feel good. They offered, they didn't want. I kept saying, well, can't I just meet you for coffee? And they protested vehemently. I think they wanted the dating experience. There's the greatest impulse to get them in the gate. And again, I cannot stress enough, those of you who want to be generous, please, please pace your generosity. You may be able to buy your new heartthrob a car, a home, put school. My client was thinking by month 4, he'd put this girl in an apartment. I'm like, what? What are you doing? You will be responsible for that. This is what you do when you're married, when you're engaged to be married, when you're living together and you've decided this is the one for you. So I tried to explain to him, I said, if you've had a dog, like you've ever done puppy training, and you give your puppy, filet mignon every time they do poop outside, like where do you go from there? Like dog food twice a day, not going to be exciting. So you've got to have a place to go, right? Money and finance. Does anybody have any questions? Put it in super chat for me. What about visiting a partner in a long distance relationship if they're in another country, dating someone who doesn't make as much money as me and I want to visit? Julio, that's for you. If they're not going to be able to visit you, it's going to be all on you. But here's the thing. When you're the one doing all of the providing, are you getting your share of good feelings coming back from that? Meaning, if somebody has money and somebody doesn't, and the one with money makes everything in the relationship happen, what if you arrive into town one day and they're not so they're not so sweet. They're not so kind. They're not so warm. So you have to measure this. What I see people doing that really terrifies me in two different places in the relationship. One, in the inducement stage, they will throw gifts, opportunities, things at them. And this is like beyond money. Oh, I know so and so. I can get you a job here. Oh, I can do that for you. Well, why don't you call me for that? Oh, I've got that. I buy these things. Blah blah blah. And so they start to try to make themselves indispensable, so that you'll want to be with them. Oh, like I'd be a fool not to be with this person. But we train them the wrong way when we do that, because then the impetus for that person to be with you is transactional. And if you want love, don't start with a transactional basis. If it is a transaction for you and you're buying them on a temporary lease and you're done and you have very little emotional investment, that's a design for you. Okay? Let's see, there's another time too. Oh, so one is an inducement, and the other time is when you feel them slipping away. And you're like, oh, I got to up the ante. I got to give them more. I've got to take them someplace to keep them because they're losing interest in you. So you try to throw money at them to keep them interested, or try to appear that you have a lot of money so that they will be interested. And these are traps. Money is a resource, but I think most people are unhappy when they realize that their partner is only with them for that transactional purpose. Now, this may have been the lifelong barter system of many older men with much, much younger women. Power and status and resources for youth and beauty and, an ego hit. And it can happen in the gay world too. However, there's always a price for this. If you're the one with the resources, modulate, pace, and let them do for you once in a while. You have to let them do for you. And for a lot of people that are locked into the giver mentality, you're also the ones that are, bitching about, but nobody appreciates me. The more I do, the less I don't think that they love me. Sometimes I just don't feel needed or wanted. I feel maybe needed, but I don't feel wanted and desired and appreciated. That's what happens. So we have to make sure that this is equitable for both people to keep this on track. All right? Do you understand how overgiving can lead to a lack of appreciation? It's an important piece of business. All right? Meet me on the moon. I'm glad we're all here. Next week's live should be about how to filter. Oh, Alessa. Okay. My big buzzword of 2023, probably forever, filter. Susan, the first time for me that I catch you live, greetings from Brussels. I'm so glad to be joining you. Well, thank you. This is beautiful. Lovely. Okay, hit me up with questions, everyone. You must have questions about dating and money. You've got to, because people ask me about this all the time privately. So I'm here for you today. What do you want to know? Put it in the super chat. Write it up here. Protect, provide, profess. All right? If you don't have any questions, I can sign off. I need to have you talk to me. So I want to explain to you how too much overgiving actually disempowers the recipient. Believe it or not, while you may think you're being generous and showing them what a benefit it is to be with you, too much overgiving creates them feeling like they don't have, because obviously you have to do it for them. And that can set you up for resentment. It's a double-edged sword. Well, it seems so kind on the outside, and it's like, I know I have people who say to me, it's well within my means. It's nothing for me to do this for them. It's everything for them. But again, it's like, do you give a man a fish or do you teach him to fish? So if you have a partner who is vastly beneath your income level, try to incentivize them as to what they do, following their passion, doing their dreams, so that they can feel useful and an equal participant. Because when people feel less than, guess what? They go to where they feel more than, and that's not with you. How many times have we seen a very wealthy woman who has a husband who, he made some money, but not a lot. Basically, she funded his lifestyle. And does he love her? Yeah, but he loves the one of the factors that he loves is what she came with. If she didn't come with that, that would not have been his choice. So that's the chips that she has. And it could be a guy, it could be whatever. It's the same story. And the minute that that person feels like they have no power because they're not deciding where to go, it's not their money, they don't get to make these decisions, they become resentful. And the very thing that was paid for, their compliance, their sweetness, their kindness, their love, their affection, now turns to wrath and hostility and undermining you, and then power tripping you, taking the one thing that you value about yourself and making it worthless, or the two things. Okay, so it is a double-edged sword. Oh, thank you for this. Jack Minton, 499 pounds. Thank you. Do you have advice for someone who falls for people extremely easily and would jump into bed regardless of red flags? Thank you. So you're talking about most of the modern daters, many of them, I should say. Um, so Jack, you're chasing the dream, different bodies in the bed. I know. I mean, listen, your timing for when you sleep with somebody should be according to your value system. However, I feel that if we escalate the physical before we have a solid framework for connection and partnership, until you've created a connection with the human being, you're on a tightrope. There's not a lot to hold on to. If something goes sideways, can you really talk to them? You have a feeling you want to share with them. Can you be vulnerable? Will they run away from you because you are? Do they only want that piece of you? I mean, the answer is written within the sentence. You know you need to slow it down. We need to slow down our pace only to offset this tremendous excitement that we have that makes us want to gallop forward, whether it's gallop forward and shower them with gifts or gallop forward and jump into bed with them. The longer sustaining relationships have a better foundation. So if for nothing else, I would ask you to do an A/B test. You already know what it's like to jump into bed quickly, or maybe this isn't even about you, might be about somebody you know, but let's say we know the results of that. So try the opposite. If your normal thing is to sleep with somebody the first night or two nights that you meet them, I'd put it off till about the fourth or fifth date, not to be a prude, but just like to talk to them, get to know them. There's something I learned when I dated bad boys and I dated players. And I learned that while the outcome will be the same because they are what they are, you get bucked off the ride pretty quickly. If they really like you as a person, because they know who you are as a person, because you've shown them who you are as a person, and you've been a human being talking to them as a human being rather than, like some sex goddess, like, oh, don't you want me or whatever, then they have a lot harder time doing it. And they do it with a lot more guilt and a lot more apology, because now they like you. It's harder to get rid of somebody you actually like. But in the quick sexual relationships, they don't know you. So that's that impatience indicates kind of a lack of confidence in the worth, which seems like it shouldn't be. I mean, if you can start to trust the allness that you are and what you have to offer as a person, then you won't need to jump so quickly just to grab on. Because that's like, I want to get it before it goes. I actually have a video that I want to shoot, and it was a great request by a guy that told me that he's so afraid when he's swiping on guys on Tinder that, like, if he doesn't make a date with one, even if he's not that attracted to him, he's going to lose out on a chance to like have somebody, or that maybe that would be the one. So he has like a FOMO. And so we have to learn to relax and kind of stay grounded and try to keep our heads about us as we enter this very precarious field. that just kind of sets you off balance. So I do the opposite. Really have some conversation. Sit down and say, I like you a lot. Can we just meet for coffee? I just want to talk to you. I want to learn more about you. Ask questions. Go for a walk. Do all sorts of fun things. The sex will come. Bedroom is always going to come. These are romantic relationships. It's off the table. That's a known factor. Like when you're ordering at the end of the meal, they will give you a dessert menu. This is like, it's not a surprise, right? So just relax with that. I hope that helps you. Okay. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan, you have some opinions about how men get stuck paying a lot of times. Now, remember, each pot will find its own lid. I have met men who are, when I've had these, we have a Love, Money, and Power tour that I do with Tracy Burns from Fox News. And we had men stand up in the audience and say, I am completely insulted. I'm the man. I pay for everything. I expect her to simply relax, be my wife, bear the children, take care of the house. That's the job. And they are absolutely insulted if they can't. But with that, this is a role. And the person that will step into that has to follow the role as well. I mean, what if she says, honey, I really want to start a business? And then on the other hand, though it has been traditional for men to pay for centuries because women had no power and no money, now that we do and may have as much, if not more, is that still the case? I think there is a nice happy medium that in the short run of the courting phase, in the very beginning, when you are getting to know somebody, to have a couple nice little outings. But pepper them with experiential things because that's where you get to know who they are. You don't have to spend a wad of money to induce somebody to be with you. It's really the wrong bait. If you are well situated in life, they're going to know it. It's going to be evident from your job title, from your car, from your home. So it's, please, if you're on the receiving end of this, don't take it as them being stingy. They have it. And there's a difference. There are people with great wealth who are just plain stingy. But they're stingy in their emotions too. It doesn't tend to be a one-off. It's like how you are is how you are. Okay. So I hope this helps everybody. But just, thank you, Jonathan. We love Jonathan. People kind of say like, I think we have a similar approach in stereo. And Jonathan works uniquely with women, and I work with all humans, but I think we're on the same page. So Escamat says, I have some male friends who date in the traditional way. Yes, Escamat is in my special YouTube family group, and we had a lovely little Zoom chat for the family members, Brian Pablo, everybody else that's here today, and I got to see who she is. It's sad, but it looks like sometimes their date is only there for free food. Okay, now, this irritates me so much, but when I did the article, 98 Dates, 9 Months, here's what I learned. Remember, I was pushing for coffee dates. These guys, they were older. They wanted to take me to a fancy restaurant to fluster their, show their wings, like puff up for me. And I kept saying, I don't want this. I don't want this. Please, I will meet you. These were set up dates. I didn't do the internet at the time. But at any rate, I felt so badly. And then when they didn't bother to read the article, they read a sentence or two. And then they said, broke blogger gets a free meal off a guy. I know that there are people that do that. I'm not that. And by the way, we all have to be pretty sharp that not only are there scammers online, there are scammers in real life. If you sense an agenda and somebody's targeting you because you have money and resources, are they there for you or are they there for the goodies? Because you don't want that. Transactional relationships must be transactional on both sides. There can't be a lot of there. You can like each other, see each other as a power couple. There's not a lot of love there. There's a mutual goal. That's it. It's I give you this if you give me that. And there's an agreement. It's a barter. Okay? But I think most of you want love. So what else do you have for me here? I'd never ask anyone how much they make either, but I've definitely met men who are unable to do the things I like, so I end up paying. Okay, now let's play this out, Kylie. In a long-term relationship, if you end up paying all the time, will you eventually feel a sense of resentment? Here's where this is a separate conversation, but I'll go here anyway. This is for the beginning of dating, okay? But in a long-term relationship, the offset is the money transfer may not be exact. You may have much more than your partner if you decide to partner with this person, but they need to come to the table with an equal value of contribution. It could be that they do the driving. You hate to drive. I hate to drive. It could be that they, whatever, clean up the kitchen. It could be that they organize something or other that you don't want to do, or fix the garage door, or do something that alleviates your expenditure, and it's their way to contribute. So contribution doesn't always have to be monetary, but to be honest, relationships function very well if there is income disparity, when there are really clear, valuable roles for each person to play. And the person without money has to feel that their contribution is vitally important to you. Okay? And this is even more so if they're a man, because it's enough that, you know, their partner makes more than they do. I have met people who have a stay-at-home husband, and you know, we don't live in Norway or Sweden where this is normal, but in America, oftentimes you're like, oh, well, he's got a little internet job, kind of takes care of the kids. So, you know, oftentimes American men that are merging into this have a little bit of a stereotype coming at them, like, oh, yeah, you don't want to work, you make her go to work, so you just sit around and play video games all day. It doesn't mean that you're kept, but you always have to have everyone, you should have your own in the relationship, and just measure what you give and catch yourself. Am I doing this to impress you? Am I doing this because I want you to want me? Or am I creating a system where you are just going to see me and want me? Okay, that's a healthier choice there. Jonathan. Narcissists will target you. Oh, here we go. Okay. My ex-husband did that. I ended up leaving after paying for everything but being treated poorly. So for all the men that complain that women aren't paying, I know so many women that are so generous and end up with guys that are just take them to the cleaners. And I understand that there is, y'all, we're going through a hard shift. Okay, we've come from a traditional system. We've shoved it into high gear hookups. Now we're kind of modulating it back to try and get it back on track so it doesn't go like this. We're getting there. But the wheels of evolution are catching up, and they're not always smooth in the process. Decide who you want to be. Decide the lifestyle you want to have. Choose the mate who is not only right for you dispositionally and makes you feel loved and adored, but make sure that you have somebody that, as you look at the arc of your future relationship, if it's all on you, that's a lot. Even in traditional relationships, I have a family member right now who's agonizing over retiring. And he has serious health problems because of the work that he does is so stressful. And his partner wants him to keep working because they're terrified they won't have enough money. I mean, and he feels like, oh my God, I can't let her down. I mean, this makes me nuts. So we have to be very, very, very careful here what role we fall into. And even during the relationship, we have to have the conversations about money. But first, have it with yourself. What do you feel is appropriate for your income level and how you participate in the initial part of the relationship? If you're playing traditional boy-girl and you get taken out for a first date. Do you let him pay for everything else after that? Do you say, hey, listen, I'd like to cook you a meal? And if you don't cook, say, I've got a great restaurant I'd like to take you to. And it's your contribution. And you'll know by what he says to you, like, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm the guy and I pay. But understand, you need to have a discussion then as you move forward in the relationship. Well, so what about family and children? If that were to happen to you in the future, would you expect your wife to stay at home? I mean, do you want to keep working? So you have to, don't be afraid to talk about the lifestyle that you want. Don't be afraid to introduce how you see your vision. Again, I'm going to tell you, I say this every week. If you don't know what you want, you're going to get what they give you. That's it. That's one of my lines. Okay? Rose, I hear that you have to date about 20 people before you might find someone who could be a compatible partner. I always heard it was 21, but okay, maybe we're improving. I feel like in this day and age, there are a lot of people with emotional problems. Yeah, look at, we have social media. We have hookup culture. It is a recipe for disaster. We have everybody putting PR in their own hands, pretending there's somebody they're not. In the time period of we're authentic, we stand for authenticity. Nothing I'm doing is authentic. Have you seen those Instagram things where people get a toilet seat and have an image in the background on like a screenshot that's against the wall that looks like clouds, and they pretend that they're flying somewhere? I mean, it's insane. Or you can go into these places where you rent jets, like you rent like 15, 20 minutes in a jet to pretend you're flying. So, I mean, there's more mental illness now, and it's just between technology, hookup culture, and the social media, it's a cocktail of disaster. This is why every time that you come to any source, me, Jonathan, anyone else that you trust on the internet, filter even what I say. I'm not a guru. I'm trying to help you because I understand human nature. But take it with a grain of salt. What feels right? Inside your soul, you have the answer. Your inner knowledge, your inner self is very wise. And you will hear things that feel like they go against you. I have another video that I'm going to shoot. Two women had written me, like basically do I have to be a bitch? Okay. And they think that the best women get the best guys by being bitches. And I have to really talk to them. But what I think they're doing is they have no boundaries. And so they don't have any opinions and they want to be liked. But every step along the way, we have to be true to ourselves. So if I said to one of these ladies, you need stronger boundaries, that might feel wrong to her, initially challenging because it feels selfish, or it feels like, oh, I think I'm all that. And she values herself as a very open, loving person that doesn't want to play games. But there's a difference between a bit of information that kind of challenges us to go past that sticking default that we have and information that isn't true. So we need to be good filterers of what we are taking in and listen to people that in your heart of hearts you trust and you have seen from applying their information that your life has gotten better. Then you will know who to follow. But in today's world of all these voices, I go on Instagram and it's like, hey, do you want to do my 7-figure business? And it's like, oh, wait, like this. Oh, and so I'm a relationship. Are they ghosting you? It's like, what are you selling? It makes me crazy myself. So a lot of people do not know how to have partnership skills. And that should be one of your first. When you meet somebody, I mean, money is like a whole nother discussion, but filtering the people that you meet, do they have a capacity to be your partner? Do they have a skill set? Can they talk? Can they express their feelings? Do they want what you want? These are very, very basic things, but they have to be in place. All right? Let's see. I worry that I'm too broke for dating, Carrie. Well, why don't you just have some lovely interactions. You know, show up, go to a park, get a cup of coffee, do something nice. Anyone else? I've always been the payer, Kylie, and now I feel more comfortable to be with someone who is financially compatible. It helps. Here's the downside of having. People can hate you because you have. Listen, people can hate you because you don't have. People can hate you for any reason they want to. But if we think it's a real plus to be the one with the money, more times than not, there is that day that comes and you realize that they have a deep-seated resentment about you having more. And no matter how hard you work for your money, somehow you got to break. Got to break because you're a female. Got to break because they assume you had sex with somebody to get somewhere. Maybe your parents left you money. Maybe you made some really good investments, but so if you are the one with money, you cannot partner with somebody who has acquired a mentality of the rich are bad. I have a friend who's dating a guy right now. Ooh, brilliant. I love this guy. He's much, much, much younger than she is. But in his family of origin, the mantra that came down through the ages was, we're good because we're poor. They're bad because they have money. And this is terrifying to me because when he services these wealthy people, and he is a very hardworking guy that wants to be upwardly mobile, he's stopping his ability. Those of you who know metaphysics, if you hate the thing that you're going for, you're never going to get it, right? You hate those people that have money. You should be saying, what did they do and how can I do it too? Isn't that great? Otherwise, you'll block it from yourself. And his girlfriend, who's my friend, keeps saying, you can't think that way. They have worked for it, or they've inherited it, or they've kept it, or they've taken huge risk to get there, but it's not for nothing. Most people are paying a price for what they have. So be very careful if you are the one with money and sense that this person has absorbed from their family of origin the mantra that people who are successful have done something horrible along the way, something criminal or unethical to get there because they were too lazy to do it, or that, we're good, but we're poor, but the rich people, they're bad because they've done something bad to be there. And all of you who work hard and save your money and then choose to be generous and gracious, don't partner yourself with one of those people. You are not going to win. No matter what you give, no matter how you try and prove who you are, no matter how you try and break their stereotype, it is way too much work. And if you break theirs, then you got to deal with their family. Not worth it. Okay. If you have no other questions, I'm going to get off pretty soon. I lack funds to go to fancy places. I love nature and experiences. Okay. RSD, where are you? Katarina K. Hello, Katarina. Thank you so much. Apologies to all the good men out there, but lately I've been seeing more and more men chasing women who are financially independent and can support them. They are usually younger than the women they seduce. Yes, they are called gigolos. And we are now an equal opportunity manipulation society. I have known so many gigolos. Yes, and one of my favorite all-time guys, my brother husband, a dear friend of mine, and really very, very good to me throughout my entire life. I don't think he's ever paid for the apartment he's ever been in his life, and any beautiful clothes have been given to him by somebody. Beautiful, lovely man, 5 languages, articulate, fun, wonderful, but just charismatic, born lucky, and knew where to have people give him the life that he wanted. Now, this one actually contributes. He's a nice taker and gives back in emotion and connection. I must tell you that. That's true. But, oh, ladies, I can tell you about this. If you go into a really fancy hotel bar or restaurant and you see a very good-looking, well-dressed, single man sitting at a bar by himself and a little bit, maybe 10, 15 years younger than the crowd there, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a gigolo alert. What's he doing there? Why is he there? Just talking to the older ladies? Yes, from years of men being in this situation, now the ladies are as well. And remember, It's not that a younger partner for you can't work. It's just that you will have to work through the financial differences here. And it's tricky to sometimes for that person to feel their value in a situation. I'm sorry, this is 45 minutes in, my leg starts doing this. Sorry, this was the shopping trolley accident. So forgive, these are very comfortable chairs. I don't know why this is happening. So we have to be careful with the setup. All right. Anyone else before I sign off here? What advice do you have for me for not feeling good enough to pay for a guy who's wealthy when he loves me? You don't feel good enough to pay for a guy who's wealthy? You don't have to pay for him. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be money for money. It can be, so look at the 5 love languages. Could be acts of service. Now, I have a very wealthy woman that I'm working with who's dating somebody who doesn't have, not only does he not have much money, he's going through a divorce, really lost everything, not in a good living situation, feels horrible about himself, feels like he has nothing to offer. So she made a meal for him, dinner, left it at his house, and just walked out. He was so grateful, and I went, oh, bingo. You learned his love language. It's acts of service. I mean, he was beside himself. She could have bought him a trip to Hawaii, wouldn't have moved him. This moved him. So do not forget acts of service. Cooking a meal, getting something for them that they couldn't get themselves. Even if you buy it, doesn't matter. I know you're busy. Here, I just wanted to give you this. You said you love these muffins, and I thought about you this morning, got you the kind of coffee you wanted. A back rub, a foot rub, words of affirmation. I really love you. Physical touch. All these things, they can really, really help. Or a handmade gift, even a card. If this person loves you, they will appreciate it. So the person with a lot of money, they don't need your money. What they need is your love, your real love, and your appreciation, and your devotion, and to feel desired. Because anybody who's had money their whole life has their guard up just a little bit being used, because it's part of the terrain. So the best thing you could give this person is your honest affection. And I'd leave messages throughout the week like, I'm just thinking about you. I care for you so much. You're such a wonderful human being. That is priceless. I hope this helps you, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to get off for the day. Thank you, everyone who's contributed to this. Glad Jonathan joined us for today. I want you to know I'm always trying to think of topics that will be good for all of us. And I want to let you know, oh, I'm so excited. I've got to order my own t-shirts. My shop page, after 9 months of trying, my shop page is here. And the first quote that I've got is, it's not me, it's you. And that's based on the video that you're all seeing on the main page. You all, I know you've got it sorted. You're here every week. I see how you are. I work with most of you. I know what you're like. You have great skills. You're just looking for somebody who's not nuts out there that you can be with. So when your head is scratching about you did everything right, you don't know where they are and why they're not responding, it's not you, it's them. So now I've got cups and t-shirts and tanks and even an apron for those of you who feel cookish. And the next one coming up is Keep the Dream, Replace the Person. I'm whipping Lauren to get the font right. And so we have a fun little shop page. And so you'll find that. Oh, and there's 15% off now until tomorrow. So check it out because it's connected to the YouTube. You'll see it. Consultations, you want a consultation with me, please go to the consultation page. Don't worry, don't stress, don't quit dealing like in your mind at the loop, just have it with me, we'll get it sorted. I treat it like the ER room. You come in, you come out, you're fixed, all is good. And send me your video topics. What do you want to hear about? Go to susanwinter.net and let's see, go to susanwinter.net, go to the consultation page, and underneath Lauren and my agent, you're going to find the box that says Q&A video requests. And let me know if you'd rather see it in the long form like this. Okay, everybody in my YouTube family, so nice to see you here today. Escamat, Brian Pablo, can't wait for that one, Susan. Okay, wonderful. Oh, thank you, Gwyneth. Gwyneth has COVID and she is here helping all of you. My God in heaven. I love Bea and Gwyneth so much. My fabulous moderators. Mwah. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Ellie from Munich, for coming. Thank you, the lady from Brussels. Thank you, everyone who came today and contributed to this. Have a wonderful time, and remember to pace yourself and think about why you're giving what you're giving. Never disempower the other person, and if they try to give to you, allow them to do so, because they may need that to make them feel worthy of being with you. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you here next week. Bye now.